this video we are going to understand the meaning of derivative. Let us start with its definition part. Here in this figure, this curve is representing some function y equal to fx. On the curve I have taken 2 points, a point here and b point here. The coordinates of a I have taken xy and the coordinates of b I have taken x plus delta x comma y plus delta y. If I see these coordinates, I can easily tell that delta x is the change in the value of x and delta y is the corresponding change in the value of y. Delta x is in the change in the value of x and delta y is the corresponding change in the value of y. Now we have to put one restriction, that value of delta x tends to 0. What is the meaning of this delta x tends to 0? Delta x tends to 0 means that value of delta x is very small but not exact 0. If I write delta x equal to 0, it means that I am saying that delta x is purely 0. But when I say delta x tends to 0, it means delta x is not exactly 0 but it is nearly 0. It is very small. So this thing gives us a sense that the value of delta x is very small. Okay, so delta x is very small. So the restriction in this figure is that delta x tends to 0. It means delta x is very small. In that situation, ratio of delta y and delta x is called derivative of the function at the point xy, and that is denoted by dy upon dx or dy by dx of y or dy dx of fx or f dash x. There are many symbols to denote derivative, but these four are the commonly used symbols. So our definition becomes that derivative of y equal to fx at xy is given by d by dx of y or dy upon dx or f dash x or d by dx fx is equal to limit delta x tending to 0 delta y upon delta x. So this is the definition of derivative. I hope that you have understood it. Now let us come to the next topic, which is first principle. To understand the first principle of derivative, I will use this figure again, but in a different way. Suppose the coordinates of these points are x comma fx and coordinates of these points will be, and let us assume that this thing is h, this distance is h. So coordinates of b point will become x plus h comma f of x plus h. What is fx? Fx is actually this height, and similarly what is fx plus h? Fx plus h is this total height. So if this total height BD is fx plus h and this height AC is fx, and if I do subtract them from the value of this, if I subtract the value of this, then what will left? The height BE will left. So this height BE is becoming fx plus h minus fx. Now according to definition of derivative, I told you that dy dx of y is equal to limit delta x tending to 0 delta y upon delta x. I told you this in the definition part. Alright. Now this y can be written as fx. Let me write it somewhere else. I am writing it here. So dy dx, in place of y I can write fx is equal to limit h tending to 0 and delta x. What was delta x in the previous figure? This distance CD was represented by delta x in the previous figure, and now this part is being denoted by h. So here h will come. Delta y in the first figure, where was delta y? Delta y was this BE, and now BE has become fx plus h minus fx. So here fx plus h minus fx. So this becomes the formula of first principle for derivatives. And what is the importance of this formula? Actually, this formula is used in proving many formulas related to derivatives. So this is very important formula which we have to remember. By using this formula, we can prove many formulas of derivatives. Now students, we will see some standard formulas of derivatives. Number 1, dy dx of x power n is equal to n into x power n minus 1, where n is equal to some constant. Formula proofs of some formulas. First of all, I am doing the proof of dy dx of sin x is equal to cos x. We know that derivative of sin x is cos x. Now I will do the proof of this formula. As I told you that first principle of derivative is very useful in proving many formulas. So in this question I will use first principle of derivative to prove it. Proof. Let fx is equal to sin x. So I assumed sin x as function fx. If I replace all the x by h, then I will get f of x plus h is equal to sin of x plus h. Now what is the formula of first principle? dy dx of fx is equal to limit h tending to 0 f of x plus h minus fx upon h. This is the formula of first principle in derivatives. This implies that dy dx of the value of fx was sin x, limit h tending to 0 as it is. What is the value of fx plus h? It is here. Its value is sin x plus h. And what is the value of fx? The value of fx is sin x and upon h. Now here this I will use a trigonometric identity sin c minus sin d. The identity of sin c minus sin d is 2 cos c plus d upon 2 into sin c minus d upon 2. So I am using this identity in this step. equal to limit h tending to 0. It is C and it is D. So in this formula, in place of C, take x plus h, and in place of D, take x. So what comes? 2 cos x plus h plus x upon 2 into sine x plus h minus x upon 2 and whole upon h. Simply what I did, I know this formula, I know this identity, and in this identity simply put x plus h in place of cc everywhere and put x in place of d everywhere. Here x and x cancelled, so equal to limit h tending to 0, 2 into cos x plus x, 2x. So 2x plus h upon 2 into sine h upon 2 and whole upon h. Now I will distribute the limit separately with this part and separately with this part. Let us see it here. Equal to limit h tending to 0, 2 into cos 2x plus h upon 2 into limit h tending to 0 sine h upon 2 upon h. So limit was written one time here, but in the next step I have written limit 2 times here and here. One limit has been given to this part and one limit has been given to another remaining part in this way. Now I am solving here. Equal to limit h tending to 0, 2 into cos 2x plus h upon 2 into. Now you have to understand this step very carefully. Now understand. In the topic of limit, we have studied a theorem. That theorem was limit theta tending to 0 sine theta upon theta is equal to 1. It's a theorem in the topic of limits. In this theorem, what is the main thing? That whatever angle is associated with sine, the same angle must be in the divide of sine and the same angle must be present here. If all these criteria are satisfied, then the value of this limit becomes 1. Let me repeat. Whatever angle is coming with sine, exactly the same angle must be present in divide and exactly the same angle must be present here, and limit must be tending to 0 also. If all these conditions are satisfied, then the result of this limit will be 1. So let us compare this step with this theorem. What is the angle of sine here? Angle of sine is h by 2. So I need to make same angle in the divide here. For that, what I am doing, I dividing this by 2 and multiplying by 2 simultaneously. Angle of sine was h by 2. So let us see it again. Angle of sine is h by 2. So I have to make h by 2 here again. H by 2 in the divide. And to cancel this 2, I will take a 2 in multiplication. Same thing, here h tending to 0 was there and I am writing it h by 2 tending to 0. Now what happened? If h tends to 0 and I say you that divide both sides by 2, it is rough work. H tending to 0 and I say that divide both sides by 2, then what will happen? H by 2 tending 0 by 2 and h by 2 and 0 by 2 means 0. So h tending to 0 can easily be converted into h by 2 tending to 0. So here I have modified it was initially h tending to 0, but after modification it is h by 2 tending to 0. Here it was h, so I divided it by 2 and multiplied by 2. Now this 2 will be taken outside because it is a coefficient, and coefficient can go out of the limit. So equal to limit h tending to 0, 2 into cos 2x plus h upon 2 into, now carry this to outside, so half into limit h by 2 tending 0 sin h by 2 upon h by 2. Now this has become exactly the theorem of limit. Its value will be 1, and in this portion you put 0 in place of h. So 2 into cos, if you put 0 here, then 2x upon 2, 2 and 2 cut, so 2 cos x is left here, then 1 by 2 and then 1. By this 2 is cut, so cos x. So you can see that derivative of sin x has become cos x, and this is the formula which we had to prove. So hence proved. Let us take another formula for proving. Now let us prove d by dx of constant equal to 0. This is another very important formula. It is used so many times that the derivative of constant is equal to 0. So let us do its proof. Let fx is equal to k, where k is some constant. You can take another letter, you can use another letter for this, you can use small c also, but I am using k, and k stands for constant here. Now replace all the x by h, so this implies that f of x plus h, and there is no x in this side, so it will remain same k. Fx equal to k, and I replaced all the x by h, so only change happened here, x plus h. On the right side there will be no change because on the right side x is not present there. Now what is the formula of first principle? D by dx of fx is equal to limit h tending to 0 f of x plus h minus fx upon h. This implies that d by dx of the value of fx is k, limit h tending to 0. What is the value of fx plus h? You can see here k. What is the value of fx? K upon h is equal to limit h tending to 0 and k minus k is 0, so 0 upon h. When we divide 0 by some non-zero number, it is pure 0 and it is not pure 0. So what will be the result? Only 0 will left here, and after you put the value of h into it, nothing will happen because it is not having any h. So this limit h tending to 0 will have no effect on its value, so 0 will come, and that's the answer for this question. And derivative of constant has become 0, that we wanted to prove. Number 3, let us prove that d by dx of tan inverse x is equal to 1 upon 1 plus x square. It is not compulsory that every time we will use the first principle only. There are other methods also. So in this question I will use some other method. Let us see here. Proof. Let y is equal to tan inverse x. When tan inverse will be shifted to left side, it will become tan. So tan y is equal to x. It is the definition of inverse trigonometric functions. if you have studied the topic of inverse trigonometric function, then you might be knowing that when we transfer tan inverse or sin inverse or cos inverse to other side, then it inverse is cancelled out. So tan y is equal to x. Now differentiating with respect to x. So dy dx of tan y is equal to dy dx of x. Now let us do the derivative of tan y. As we know that the derivative of tan x is sec square x, in the same way the derivative of tan y will be sec square y, but the variables are different, so we will have to use this term also, dy upon dx. So finally derivative of tan y is sec square y and also dy upon dx. On this side the derivative of x is 1. If you are not clear that what happened here, then I will make it clear in the upcoming topic. After some time I will teach you the topic of chain rule. In that chain rule you will have the better understanding that what happened here. So don't worry, you just remember it, that the differential of tan y with respect to x is sec square y dy upon dx. I will make this explanation after the topic of chain rule. This implies that dy upon dx is equal to 1 upon sec square y. By using trigonometry, sec square y can be written as 1 plus tan square y. The formula of sec square y is 1 plus tan square y. Now let us put the value of tan y here from equation number 1. So from equation number 1, the value of tan y is x. So in place of this tan y, I can write down x. So this implies that dy upon dx is equal to 1 upon 1 plus x square. Dy upon dx can also be written as dy dx of y is equal to 1 plus x square, and in place of y I can copy tan inverse x. So implies that dy dx of tan inverse x is equal to 1 upon 1 plus x square. So hence proved. Now next formula I am taking. Prove that dy dx of e power x is equal to e power x. It's a very simple formula. Now let us see its proof. Let fx is equal to e power x. Now replace all the x by x plus h. So f of x plus h is equal to e power x plus h. What is the formula of first principle? Dy dx of fx is equal to limit h tending to 0 fx plus h minus fx upon h. Implies that dy dx of, what is the value of fx? E power x. Limit h tending to 0. What is the value of fx plus h? You see here, e power x plus h minus, and what is the value of fx? E power x upon h is equal to limit h tending to 0. From these two terms I can take e power x common, and when I take e power x common, then e power h minus e power h minus 1 will left here. E power x taken common from both the terms. So e power x gone from here, e power h is left here, and only 1 is left here. Now distribute the limit 2 times. So limit h tending to 0 e power x into limit h tending to 0 e power h minus 1 upon h. Again, this is theorem in the topic of limit. It's a theorem and its value is 1. You have to remember this. So its value will become 1, and in this portion e power x is free from h. It is not having any h with it. So limit h tending to 0 will have no effect on it. So its value will be simple e power x and its value is 1. So finally what is our answer? Our answer is e power x, hence proved. So we have done the proof of this formula that dy dx of e power x equal to e power x. Let us take one more formula for proving. Formula number 5, to prove that dy dx of log x to the base e is equal to 1 upon x. Proof. Let y is equal to log x to the base e. All of us know the definition of log. So according to definition of log, this e will come in this side, this y will go upside, and x will left here. I hope that you have learned the topic of log. So from that topic, the definition of, if you know the definition of log, then you must have understood this step. Differentiating with respect to x by definition of log. Differentiating with respect to x, so dy dx of e power y is equal to dy dx of x. Now the formula of derivative of e power x is e power x. So in the same way, derivative of e power y will be e power y, but we will apply the chain rule here. So dy upon dx will also come. The same thing, I use the chain rule here, but I have not told you about the chain rule yet. I will explain the chain rule in this video at the last time. At the end of this video, I will explain chain rule. So after that, you can revisit this step, and then these steps will be more clear to you. On this side, derivative of x is 1. Implies that dy upon dx is equal to 1 upon e power y. E power y is sent into the denominator. Now let us put the value of e power y from equation 1. It is equation 1. So from equation 1, what is the value of e power y? The value of e power y is x. So put value here. It implies that dy upon dx is equal to 1 upon x, hence proved. Various rules in derivatives. Number 1, addition, subtraction rule. Addition, subtraction rule. Dy dx of fx plus gx is equal to dy dx of fx plus dy dx of gx. Here fx and gx are two functions, any type of function, and there is plus sign between these two functions, and I have to do the derivative of their sum. Then what will happen? If there is plus sign between the two functions, then you will do the derivatives separately, and you will have the plus sign between the derivatives. For example, if I give you the derivative of x power 5 plus sin x, then in the next step you will do the derivative of x power 5 separately, and you will do the derivative of sin x separately, and you will have plus sign between them. This is called addition rule. And what about the subtraction rule? In subtraction rule, if suppose you are having minus sign here, then minus sign will also come here. If I combine both the sign, then plus minus and plus minus. So this is a very simple rule. If two functions are in subtraction or addition and we have to do their derivative, then what we have to do? Then we do their derivative separately and use plus minus sign between them accordingly. Number 2, coefficient rule. Coefficient rule. Dy dx of k into fx. Here fx is some function and k is a constant in the multiplication of fx. In that situation, we call k as coefficient. If some constant comes in multiplication of a function, then that constant is known as coefficient. So what will happen, that this coefficient will go outside and derivative will be done of the function only. So here you can see that k has gone out of the derivative sign. dy dx is called the sign of derivative. So k gone outside and derivative of function is left only. Next, number 3, product rule. Product rule. dy dx of AB. Here AB are two functions. I am representing two functions by AB, A and B. Actually, you can say that A means fx and B means gx. Then what will happen? B outside dy dx of A plus A outside dy dx of B. Let me explain one thing. In this B is outside and derivative is of A only. The term which are before the derivative, it means you are not doing derivative of that. The term which is written just after the dy dx, you have to do the derivative of that term. So in this B is outside, it means nothing happened with this, and derivative of A is to be done. And here A is outside and derivative of B is to be done. Suppose I give you three functions, dy dx of ABC. Here A means fx, B means gx, C means hx. Then how will I apply? B and C outside, dy dx of A, CA outside, dy dx of B, AB outside, dy dx of C. In this formula, C is not a constant. In this formula, C is function. You can assume C means hx. Next, division rule. Number 4, division rule. dy dx of n upon d is equal to d into dy dx of n minus n into dy dx of d upon d square. It is called division rule. Here n means numerator and d means denominator, and both n and d are some functions. N means you can say fx and d means you can say gx. So two functions fx and gx has been denoted by n and d, and just to understand the division rule in a simple way. Chain rule. Now I will explain chain rule by two methods, long method and short method. Chain rule is very important and it is used most of the times in the topic of differentiation. But the question is that when do we use chain rule? What is the requirement of chain rule? So first of all, let us understand about when. When one function is given in terms of some another function, then this type of function is known as composite function. And chain rule is used to do the derivative of composite functions. You can note down this. When one function is given in terms of another function, then such type of function is known as composite function, and chain rule is used to do the derivatives of composite functions. Let us see how the composite function looks like. Examples. Sine bracket log x. In this, sine is main function which has been expressed in terms of log function. So sine is main function here and log x is secondary function here, and I can say that it is a two-level composite function. If I say log of sine x, in this situation is different. Here main function is sine and secondary function is main function is log and secondary function is sine. So log function has been expressed in terms of sine x. Again, it is a two-level composite function. If I say log bracket tan x square plus 5, So here what happened? Log has been expressed in terms of tan function, and further tan has been expressed in terms of x square plus y, which is a polynomial function. So it is a three label composite function. Main function is log, then secondary function is tan, and on the third number function is polynomial function. So in all these types of situations, if I want to do the derivatives of them, then I will use the chain rule. And chain rule has two methods, long method and short method. So first of all, I will tell you that what are the formulas in these two methods. If I talk about long method, in long method the formula of chain rule is dy upon dx is equal to dy upon dt into dt upon dx. Here t is also a variable just like y and x. And if I talk about short method, then in short method the formula is d by dx of f of gx, d by dx of f of gx is equal to f dash of gx into g dash x. Might be possible that you have not understood this one. Don't worry, it will be clear to you. It's very easy, but it will be clear too after seeing one or two examples. You don't worry. So it is long method, it is short method. Now how do we apply them? Let us solve one question by both the methods. Suppose I take question, let y is equal to sine bracket log x. I want to do the derivative of this. Put log x is equal to t. So this implies that y is equal to sine t. Log x has been taken as t, so sine t. Since dy upon dx is equal to dy upon dt into dt upon dx. It's the formula of, implies that dy upon dx is equal to d upon dt of y. So y was sine t into d upon dx t. What was t? T was log x. So implies that dy upon dx is equal to derivative of sine t is cos t. As you know, derivative of sine x is cos x. In the same way, derivative of sine t with respect to t will be cos t, and derivative of log x will be 1 upon x. If I put the value of t here, then cos bracket log x into 1 upon x. So it is the answer of this question by the long method of chain rule. Now I will solve the same question by short method. Let y is equal to sine bracket log x. In simple method, it's very easy. First of all, you do the derivative of a main function. So here main function is sine and secondary function is log. So derivative of main function will be cos log x. As the derivative of sine x is cos x, in the same way the derivative of sine log x will be cos log x. And after that, do the derivative of secondary function. Secondary function is log x, so its derivative will be 1 upon x. Answer. I am repeating it once again. First of all, do the derivative of main function. Here main function is sine this, and derivative of sine this will become cos this. And then do the derivative of secondary function, and secondary function was log x. Derivative of log x is 1 upon x. Suppose there had been three functions, main function, secondary function, third function, even then the same rule will be applied in the similar manner. Now let us consider some more examples, and I will solve all those examples by shortcut method. So now shortcut method, more examples. Suppose I give you sine x power 5. So here main function is sine and secondary function is x power 5. So when I will do the differentiation, first of all I will do the derivative of sine function, and derivative of sine function is cos function. Remember, derivative of sine function is cos function, always remember. So derivative of sine this will become cos this. Sine x power 5, its derivative became cos x power 5. And then do the derivative of secondary function. Secondary function is x power 5 here, so its derivative will be 5x power 4. Let us take another example. Let y is equal to sine x whole power 5. Now these two questions are entirely different. Don't be confused that these are same questions. These are different questions, because in this power 5 is over x only, and in this power 5 is the whole power. Both questions are entirely different. Here main function is power 5. It is the main function. Power 5 is main function and sine x is secondary function. So when you will do the derivative, so first of all you do the derivative of main function. So main function is bracket power 5 and its differential will be 5 into bracket power 4. So 5 into sine x whole power 4, and after that do the derivative of secondary function. Secondary function is sine x, its derivative is cos x. One more example. Example number 3. Let y equal to sine bracket e power x plus x power 5. So dy upon dx is equal to, main function is sine, so its derivative will become cos e power x plus x power 5, and it is the secondary function, its derivative will be e power x plus 5x power 4. Now I will take last example. Let y is equal to log bracket tan bracket x square plus e power x plus 10. So here in this, log is main function, tan is secondary function, and this bracket is the third number function. And according to chain rule, first of all we do the derivative of main function, then derivative of secondary function, and then derivative of third function, and so on. So first of all we will do the derivative of log function. And what is the derivative of log function? 1 upon. So its derivative will be 1 upon tan x square e power x plus 10. Then do the derivative of secondary function. Secondary function is this, and derivative of tan is sec square. So sec square x square e power x 10. And after that do the derivative of third function. Third function is this, its derivative will be 2x plus e power x. Derivative of x square became 2x, e power x same e power x, and 10 was constant, its derivative was 0. So I hope that you have understood the chain rule. Thank you.